Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Zander Phelps. He's the ambassador of play, and we learn from him how simple acts of play can revolutionize our mental and physical well being. Our activities like juggling and movement can unlock our brain's potential, reduce stress, and create genuine human connections in our disconnected world. Welcome to the show, Zander.
Thank you, KJ. Happy to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Zender. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the world will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about, as we said, we'll learn how one can play their way to wellness. We'll learn all that from you. But before that, let's learn a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
All right. Thank you, KJ. I started traveling in 1995. I just finished a job and I got rid of everything and got down to a backpack. And as I was about ready to leave for the airport, one of my friends says, "Hey, do you have a foot bag with you?" I'm like, "No." And he pulled one out of his pocket and he gave me a little bag, we call a hacky sack or a foot bag. And he said, "Keep it in your pocket. It's going to be the best gift anyone will ever give you." And that started my journey. I basically kept it with me everywhere I went. And I traveled for a number of years, but I would just go to a park somewhere and start kicking it. And somebody cool would come and play with me. It was a very popular sport here in America in the 80s, but I didn't play a lot. Not then, but that thing, I traveled to so many cultures and everybody had something similar to it. You're playing with somebody, interacting with them. And it literally was the best gift anyone has ever given me. So I learned juggling along the way and I learned how to make them. And I just kept on giving them away to various people. When somebody would play with me, I'd tell them the same thing: keep it in your pocket. It's going to be the best gift anyone will ever give you. And this is the game changer for me. So, I could go on and on, but that is basically the story of how I got into doing that. But since then, I've worked with people for mental issues. I work with senior centers. I work with people who are going through recovery from addictions, because juggling, it's the ultimate brain exercise by far. I mean, from all the things I've come across with the studies, what they're doing about what juggling does for our brain, it activates the left and right hemispheres in a really cool, unique pattern that optimizes your brain functions. So it helps with Alzheimer's, dementia, regrows white as well as gray matter in the brain. And the list goes on and on. But
Absolutely, absolutely. So playing is a very universal thing. Playing
yeah,
is a very human thing. Why is it that we don't play then, Zender?
well, from my experience, as we come into this world, children learn through play. As that's the way we adjust to things. That's how we adapt, and children play optimally. When you see kids playing in a game, they'll adjust the game so that everybody can be inclusive in it. They'll balance things out so the play lasts longer. Once we start growing up, then play becomes confined to the playground or when we have a recess. And then as we age even further and then we get our job, play is strictly cut off. And then as we're adults, play is usually associated around competitiveness. And what that does, from what I've observed, is that cuts off the childlike play. We don't experience the full state of what I call the play flow state, or experiencing where we're optimally functionized with our body and our mind. And so it's confusing for us to really allow that inner child to come out. We shut it down. So as I see our world even being more shut down with our phones, everyone's locked in. We're antisocial now. It's easier to go on this line and get your little, brain, your chemical hits in your brain by jumping on a little machine. And we're losing our ability to really interact in a one-on-one personal way, which is what humanity is all about.
Absolutely. So you talk about, place importance and traveling is discovered about plays universal language during your travel, during your journey. Tell us a bit about that journey itself. How, give us some examples how it helped you make friends, made you play, and gave you good lessons, great lessons for life.
Well, as I mentioned, I could go to anywhere in the world. I would just go to a park, and I used when I went to a new country, my thing was to go play barefoot in a park. Because when you play barefoot, you get grounded into the local area. There's a whole thing about what they call grounding, and you get the electrical pulses from that area, so you get a feel of it in more than one way. But almost inevitably, and if no matter where I was playing, somebody would come up and play with me, and this person was outgoing, fun-loving. They came up to a complete stranger and then wanted to play. So then you're playing a game, kicking one of these things around. It's a non-violent cooperative competition game. So I've never had a bad hack game. There's never been a fight from it. There's never been anything negative with it. But people relate to it. So there wasn't any language barrier because I could explain what it was without even, no hands, and there's 3 rules to hack, but it's very universal. But afterwards, I could usually have somebody go, "Hey, come to my house. If you want food, you need food, no problem." They would be always inviting. And it's the best icebreaker I've ever had. It's just this simple thing that I can keep in my pocket. So yeah, I'd make them all the time. I'd try and make 3 a day, and I would try and give 3 a day away. That was my goal. So over the years, I've gifted thousands of them since, I almost played every day for, I don't know, about 10 years. So, and that was my number way of connecting with people. And it breaks every culture barrier. I've done a lot of research on the different games that were similar to hack in cultures around the world.
Absolutely. So, what? Firstly, tell us, about this. You call it the hacky sack, if I understand, and that's it. And how does this work? And what is it that you are, what is the message that you are trying to spread in the world? Is it something about, something new? It's not. It is something which people have forgotten about play.
It's something that it's a part of our DNA, and it's just something that we have forgotten. Technically speaking, hacky sack is owned by a company called Whammo, right? They own hula hoop, yo-yo, frisbee. They own all of those names. So technically, I don't call these hacky sacks. I call them hackitos or hack I do's because you make them, right? And my personal brand, it has a world on it, so it's basically about creating your own. That's the main purpose behind it, because it's even making them is extraordinary for your brain. You're taking something 2-dimensional, making something 3-dimensional, and you can put your own designs on them. So once you learn how to make them, then you can gift them away to other people. But this is not. I'm not writing something new. I'm just reintroducing it again in a package of like, look, play is universal. It's something we're born with, but we have to get back into what the fundamentals of it are. And these tools like I say juggling and hack. Juggling is the ultimate brain exercise. Hack, or kicking one around, is the ultimate physical exercise because you're balancing and using your core muscles to kick this thing around. This is the ultimate play tool, but it's a way to activate that, what I call the play flow state. And it's a way that your brain kind of shuts down and really focuses in the moment, in the now. But the goal is to get you to do your play flow state, whatever you're doing. Like if I'm cleaning my house and I'm vacuuming or something, I'm doing a little dance. I'm trying to get myself, fun in that. No matter, if I'm walking on the street, I'm not walking in a straight line. I skip around. I jump off of things. I try and play with what I'm doing, no matter what I'm doing. I want to keep that child, that thing activated in me. So no matter what you're doing at work, you can play. You just got to find the way to do it that works for you. But the foundations of it, I find the 2 best things to do are juggling, something everyone should learn how to do. If you have 2 hands, or even 1, you could do one-handed juggling, but the 2-handed cross brain thing is something that everyone can pick up. It's not very hard to do. And what I call the ROI, the return on the investment of learning how to juggle, it's amazing. It's simply amazing.
Right. Why are you doing it? Means you let people learn it by themselves. Why are you taking this whole responsibility on yourself, Zander?
I I love people. I really do. We're an amazing species. We just got to remember that. And we're so stressed out. We're so freaked out about our world in general. And I'm like, we can't take so many things seriously. It just happiness and joy spreads. It's something that we radiate love if we're in the right play of it. And I find that play is a similar word for me as love. It's so expansive. It's such a big word, but that equates it for me. And I mean, if we could just remember that, man, we can all play. We can all play together versus the stuff that we've been trained to believe and the nonsense that is nothing really to what I believe we truly are. So that, I mean, it's a way of awakening that, and I want to live that. I want to live that way. I want more people. I want to be able to go down to the park and play all the time with people. I want people to play no matter what they're doing. It just makes sense. It makes sense to me. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can see it in the way you talk it. I can see humanity in the way with that whole energy, positive energy that you are spreading. Help us understand your mantra, play with thyself. What does that mean?
Well, it's a little bit of a, it gets people's attention, but literally I'm like, if you can't play with yourself, you're missing the point. You know what I mean? It's like, it literally makes it's a, of course it's a play on words, but I consider it the 0.5 commandment. It's like the original one thing is play with thyself. And then from everything else that stems what life is really about. But for me, it just seems like when we come here, we're born here with that ingrained in us. And I think it's just our fundamental purpose. So that's the preaching behind it.
How has this mantra helped you in terms of your wellness?
I have to fall back to it a lot, because I mean this world does try to beat you down. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like every time you turn around, there's something else that coming after you. So I try to remember the divine play. I try to remember that everything has a silver lining if you can see it from the right angle. Everything is meant to test us and make us stronger and better. And as much as if I'm ever beaten down or if I'm just feeling bad, if I just pull up my balls and play with them, it feels like it gets better. So, no matter what you can do, I can always just pull these out and have fun with it and get my brain to reset. So as much as I'm mentally thinking of it, this thing is even doing this, if I'm stressed out and stuff like that, I'll just pull these out and squeeze it. And it reminds me I can play. And that just, it keeps me going, even in my darkest times. But we all go through it. No one's immune from it, so it's just it keeps me going.
Keeps you going, and it can help people keep going even in terms of mental challenges. So you talk about its good impact on mental health issues. Tell us a bit about that. How can people make the best? Do they need to have your that particular ball, or is it that, yeah, I don't want to use the word hacky sack because you said it belongs to someone else. I want to use your name, which you call something around that. So do they need to only get this sort of a thing to play with, or is it that anything will do? Tell us about especially the mental health aspect of it all.
Okay, there are infinite ways to play, right? There are the whole premise is that you got to find your way of play. This thing for me, what I call the Hakido, this for me is the ultimate thing I've come across, simply because I can put this in my pocket. It's better than a fidget spinner, which is very limited. It's very linear what you can do. But this is similar to that as far as a stress reliever. the hacky sack that a lot of people carry around is okay for a number of games, but you can't slap it around like you can with this one, because the other one's filled with plastic beads and it hurts a little bit if you just hit it with your hand. This one you can slap around. I play bocce with this with my mom, like that's where you throw one out and you throw one with either hand to get close to it to touch it. The closest one gets the points. If you're touching it, you get 3. My son and I will play bean with this. We'll just start throwing them at each other as hard as we can. It doesn't really hurt, but you get those, oh my gosh, am I going to, you get that fear thing, which also is another layer of endorphins for your brain. It sends these little shockwaves through your brain. So there are infinite ways to play. I find that this is has the most options to it, and everyone can learn how to make one. On my website, I have a stencil that goes with it. You can download the stencil, and there's a video that goes with that stencil, so you can just make it yourself. You don't need to have I have a kit available as well, and I give these ones away, but it's literally, I want people to learn how to make them themselves, because then you become the fisherman versus just getting a fish type of thing. Once you know how to make them, then you can gift them away to other people and put your own love into it. And then when you gift it to somebody else, you've put your energy into this thing. And so once somebody else gets it, you get some of that return of the investment. Like every time I've gifted away thousands of them over the years to all people from all over the world, when they play with it, I get a little bit of that love. It's still attached to me. So that is why I consider these the ultimate thing. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to play. You don't necessarily need this thing, but you need this thing.
Of course. And this time I remember the name Hakido.
Yes, sir.
Hakido. So in terms of, you call juggling as the ultimate brain exercise. What makes you say so? How can people use juggling in the right manner to get that brain exercise?
Well, juggling is unique as far as the cross brain activations. So the corpus callosum, which is the connector between the left and right hemispheres, when you're doing a left and right cross brain thing, you're activating it in a unique way. The hands are also the gateway to the brain. Like the amount of neuron connections that go through the hand as far as sensory and the manipulation of the muscles is extraordinary. So you're catching on one side as you're throwing on the other. So you're doing this, right? So what that does for your brain, it sends these pulses that are not specified. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2 or A, B, C, D type of those things, which are very linear thoughts. And there's a whole story about what that actually does for our brains. Is when we learn in children's school, we're learning the arithmetics and reading and writing and stuff, which is very hard for our brain to do. And it creates a very hollow brain. We want a very dense brain. So these pulses that the juggling does activates the brain in a way that creates all these neuronic pulses, and it stabilizes the brain better than anything I've come across. So juggling also goes in a rhythm that your brain loves, because it's a fast-paced rhythm that's not stressing it out too much, so it doesn't shut down, but it keeps it activated so it doesn't get bored. And that's the basis of what they call the flow state. It's to keep your brain activated for 10 minutes or longer, and your brain the hypofrontalis shuts down, and you get this whole thing where your brain, it really activates. With juggling, it does it very similarly. I call it the play flow state. So it's a way of getting your brain activated through play. Juggling does it the fastest I've come across. Once I start juggling, my brain automatically goes into that state. The full body one is the hack. When you kick it around, you are activating your whole body in a very unique way. And so your whole body gets activated in it.
Absolutely. So what is people's response to what you talk, to what you do? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's depending on who you talk to, my dad is very much a work guy. So when I've been talking about this play thing the whole time, he's like going, come on, life is supposed to, you got to be working hard to get through life. And I'm like, I get that, and I do. I mean, I try and work as much as I can, but again, I try and incorporate play into it. But the overall response is most people relate to it. Most people go, that makes sense. Okay, maybe I should learn juggling, or maybe I should do something. But it's hard to emphasize it that much. It's hard for me to get people to understand. Yeah, you say you should learn juggling, but do it. Don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. And I mean, not to pump too much, but on the website as well, which is hakido.org or .com, I do have a juggling course on there for free, but it teaches you steps to learn how to juggle. It most people do not know. And I even teach people who are really good jugglers these steps so they can teach people who are having trouble with the process. But it builds upon each other. Every step is good for your brain. Every step helps the cross brain activity, but you start off with 1 ball and do these different tricks. And then you go to 2 ball, and then you go to 3 ball. But everybody who tells me, oh, I should learn juggling, I'm like, then just do it. To say you're going to do something and then not follow through is useless. It's a waste of your breath. Just say you're going to do it and then do it. And literally there's a lot of things you could do in your world to activate your brain good in a healthy way. Juggling is simply the best that I've come across. So I'm like, it's easy to learn. It's not challenging. It's not overly
Absolutely. Absolutely. So carry on.
Well, I was going to say that you can always learn new tricks. You can always learn new tricks with juggling. It's infinitely challenging. I'm always trying to learn a new trick. Every time I do it, it slices my brain with new neuron connections, which activates your whole brain. That's why it helps with memory, because your memory is scattered all over your brain. And then when you create all these new neuron pulses, and it helps pull it all together. So it's infinitely challenging, infinitely rewarding. So that's
absolutely. Absolutely. So, Zander, I want to understand, why not bring this whole talk around Hakido itself? Then they will understand, okay, this is such a cool thing. And then this can help us in doing so many things. Are you doing something around that? Build a business around it so that, you can take the message much more far and wide.
This is my focus right now. I just finished my other job. I helped my brother build a company, but it was taking a lot of my time. And I just finished that job. So I'm focusing on this a lot more. I've had this on my plate for probably since 2008 is when I officially first coined the name Hakido. And but I lived in Hawaii. And so I was very isolated, and I was very much in my own world. But now I'm like trying to get it out to the masses, because I feel it's very paramount right now. I feel like we are definitely in a place where this should get out there and just get people to have more play in their life. And so, I'm hoping to coordinate it more. I'm trying to reach out to different people to get behind me so that I can get like there's just so much to do. Our world is connected yet separate. So I got to figure out all the different ways to connect it all together. Doing more podcasts, trying to connect with the masses and like find a way to get the people who start playing to post their play. I got a Facebook thing I'm trying to get together where people can start posting their play on there, and so you get more people involved with it, and people can go to their parks and just play and create more people. I'm trying to create a school of play, if you will, where you can go through the process of what I'm calling a play agent, but you get a certificate to learn how to do this, and then you can go to your local communities and go to the senior centers and show them how to play differently, go to the rehab centers, show them how to play, go to schools and get this more involved. And once you learn how to make them, then you become one of those. Also an ambassador of play is basically the other term I was using. People who can just, get it out there and go to your local communities and get people involved with the process.
Absolutely. There is so much to learn from you about these things. And, especially it's so unfortunate that people who grow up listening to, talking about, getting this advice about all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And still we continue to live a life which makes us very, very dull in today's time. So that's the good message you are spreading, that don't be dull. Come, let's go play.
Let's go.
So a lot of people who would want to connect with you and know more about Hakido, more about you, how you are doing things, how they can get hold of Hakido, what's the best way for them to do so?
The website is probably the best way. I mean, you can connect with me there. I also have a Facebook page, but the website is just Hakido, Hack I do, or it's hakido.org or .com. That'll take you to the website. And there you're going to find the juggling course is going to be right there. And there's the kit. I have a kit together that shows you that comes in a little package, and it shows you how to make 3 of these ones. Needle and thread and everything, and learn the hemp seeds with, all it's in there to make it. But you can also, the website also has it available for free. You can download the stencil, and you just got to get the material yourself. But, that's the main way. And, I'm trying to get the Facebook page going, but I just kind of put it together. I'm just, yeah. Gosh, there's so many things to be involved with it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it all myself right now, but I actually am starting to reach out to different people to be like, hey, can maybe we can get this all together? Because, I haven't spent a lot of time on social media. I'm not, I was very isolated for a number of years, just raising my son and just being, trying to keep myself, a little bit more out of the public eye, if you will. So, but now I got to dive back in. I'm like, okay, I've got a timeline here. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So if you got any people out there in your audience who wants to help out, make this thing happen, please. I need all the help I can get. So good stuff.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, KJ. Appreciate it. Blessings, bro.